say guys play off 2 feet.
Take a second, listen to this real quick.
It's the way they get to the basket and come to a stop. A lot of guys drive to the basket and lift off 1 feet to go finish a layup. They rarely do that. They're always getting to the basket and pivoting off 2 feet. Jalen Brunson does this. It makes him very hard to guard because when you're driving on someone, right, go off 1 foot, you only have now one option, and that's to go for a layup, or you could fake and maybe do a Euro step. That's it. When you drive and you bump somebody and you jump on 2 feet to a stop, you can now pick whatever foot to pivot off. It's a dangerous.
Okay, so the reason why I wanted you guys to watch that video is because Austin Rivers does such a good job at articulating the power of playing off 2 feet once you get into the lane, once you're a legitimate scoring threat in the paint. I wanted to expand on that though, and I wanted to add another layer to it. This is actually something that my brother taught me when I was playing high school basketball when he was in college, and we were kind of just going through the whole grit and grind of things, right? And that is playing off 2 feet off your catch, because the same things that he just articulated in that video apply at your initial catch, right at the start of your attack. And that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot in the NBA, because in the NBA, your best players, the guys who are attacking the most, they're usually starting with a live dribble. They're usually coming off a pick and roll. Jalen Brunson, for example, is the primary ball handler for the Knicks. So he's not playing off the catch a lot. But in the college game, in the high school game, most scorers are playing much more off the catch still, right? So you get the ball past you on the wing, you're in the triple threat, you're attacking from the wing, right? That's much more common in a high school and college game than it is at the professional level at this point. So I want to talk about the power of playing off 2 feet off the catch, off your initial catch, because it opens up doors in that respect as well. Let me tell you what I mean. Typically what we're taught is as soon as we get a catch, we establish a pivot foot, right? So you get a catch, you already have a pivot foot started, right? That could be, you know, your dominant leg, the leg that you have, you know, that matches with your strong hand, but because you usually want to rip to your strong side, right? So for me, my right hand is my dominant hand, so I may get a catch and immediately establish that right foot as a pivot foot. Now what that does is it immediately cuts your options in half, because if I have my right foot established as my pivot foot, I can jab right, I can go left, I can rip through it, I can go right. Those are essentially my two options. Now you can do multiple things out of that, but initially you cut your options in half. Now a better option, and one that opens doors for you, is to catch and play off 2 feet right out the gate, right? Because now by me not establishing a pivot foot and staying in my triple threat position, I can rock and go right, and I can cross step. I can still rock or step and rip through with my open stance and go right with my lead leg being my right leg. Or I can do the same thing to the left, right? I can rip through cross step. I can rip through open step. You know what I'm saying? So you have double the options by playing off 2 feet. And now you can really watch your defender's feet, see how they're playing with you, and expose that, right, by playing off 2 feet right out the gate. And guess what? Playing off 2 feet once you get into the lane is still an option, right? This is just your initial attack. So you rip through, play off 2, do a move. You can still come to a pro hop, and you can still play off 2 feet once you get into the paint. But playing off 2 feet at the start of attack opens doors the same way that playing off 2 feet when you're trying to score does. So I just want to emphasize that point, because it's a point that I think gets missed. We think that, you know, the 2 feet only applies to playing in the paint. But the reality is, if you're a guy who's a wing scorer, a wing player who's a playmaker, and you're a guy who's not the primary ball handler, when you get the catch and you rip through, playing off 2 feet is just going to establish that many more options for you, right? And you can play off that. And it's tough to guard, might I add, because most people are used to establishing a pivot foot, ripping through right or left. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard when you don't establish a pivot foot, because now the defender doesn't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? They don't know because you don't have a pivot foot established yet. So by you staying here, making a quick move, you know, it just opens doors, it makes you less predictable, and it makes you harder to guard. So something to consider, essentially extending your 2 foot game out past just scoring in the paint and to beyond the 3-point line. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.